Well, hello, everybody. Hello. Man, 2023 has come and it's gone. But I tell you what, I am here with some rock stars, and we're going to be here for a little while tonight talking about this incredible book, The Dr. Talker. Hey, if you are tuning in, I got to let you know you are in the right place. I mean, man, Dr. John C. Turner, aka the Professor JT, aka Dr. JT. And I have some heavy hitters that's on here tonight. I have the amazing Enhanced DNA Publishing CEO, Denola Burton, who is the publisher of this book. Say hello to the people,
Hello,
Mrs.
hello,
Burton.
hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here and represent this amazing book and these amazing authors.
Epic, epic. And we have one of the great authors of the Dr. Tucker book, Dr. Candice Randolph. We appreciate her being here. Say hello to the people. Tell them a little bit about yourself as well.
Good evening, everyone. And in case we have some people from the other side of the world, good morning, almost afternoon, right? I am Dr. Candicia Randolph. I am one of the co authors of the Dr. Talker, as well as the author of the Black American Church Leadership Dispensation and Challenges. I am a leadership expert and organizational development specialist. Essentially, what I do is I help people holistically understand the leadership process and I help organizations function optimally. So, if that's your jush, as the saying goes, feel free to talk about it. And I'm sure we'll get into some more of it later on.
I love it. I love it. And if you are tuning in, if it's somebody checking us out, hey, you always know we want to know what doctorate program you're in, what doctorate program you graduated from. Hey, let us know what city that you're in. We love people when they tune in and check us out and see what we're doing. Now, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right into this amazing book. And I want to go right to the amazing Dr. Candice Randolph. Tell me why this book matters to the world, to the body, and for somebody who is working on a doctorate degree.
One thing that I have, or some feedback, I guess I should say, that I've gotten back from people when I tell them about it is people are intrigued by the fact that all of the authors of the book are Black. In the world that we live in, although Blacks are not really part of the global minority, we are in fact part of the global majority. In over 22% of the world's population comes from the continent of Africa. We know that systematically in the US, our engagement at operating sometimes at the highest level, whether it's in academia or in business, is oftentimes overlooked. And so to have an anthology, to have a narrative that not only is about six Black authors, but that were written by them, it is hugely important. And for me, that's one thing that I'm very keen on. It's not just having our story told, but having our story told by us. For far too long, as Black people who were enslaved and carried across the waters and who were oppressed intellectually, spiritually, ethnically, culturally, our story is not told by us. It's been told by mainstream media, who's not owned by us. It's been told by Semitic rantings of the oppressor, right? And so, for to be involved in a project where not only is it about Black people, written by Black people, published by a Black company, it gives us full control of our narrative. And people need to know that narrative because our story is different than other people's stories. If you compare, if you just look at the statistics, they show that most white Americans who obtain doctorate degrees do it, there's a higher percentage of them who accomplish it under 30. Whereas most Blacks who earn doctorate degrees across the spectrum, not including, or we should say excluding a JD, because it's titled differently. Most of us are over 30. They have the opportunity to not have to work, whereas most of us are working professionals. And these differences matter And they don't just matter because of a cultural difference, but it matters in terms of how you navigate the doctoral experience and whether you actually come out on the other side, a doctor or defeated. There's two D's you can be, a doctor or defeated. And all of us in the book chose to be a doctor.
We love that. We love that. I'm telling you, the folks are already tuning in. Dr. Judkins, we appreciate you tuning in. Hey, that's Chi-Town right there for you, Dr. Randolph. That's Chi-Town. Check it in. We appreciate it. And Dr. Jeff, we appreciate you. Hey, I'm out here in Maryland too, man. I didn't even know you was out here. That's what's up. Have to get you on the Doc Chat show one day. And congratulations on you just completing your doctorate degree at Capella University. Very, very proud of you. And I'm telling you, if you are tuning in, let us know where you're from. Let us know what doctorate degree you have. Let us know what doctorate degree you're in, because I'm telling you this story, and we're going to go to Mrs. Denola. Why did you even accept this? Because you didn't have to. You could have been like, you know what, that ain't even my lane, but you know, I'm going to support these Black people, and you did it with class. You did it with excellence. Why is this book so important? And even tell us a little bit about Enhanced DNA Publishing as well.
Thank you. So Enhanced DNA Publishing was born out of passion. I am not a publisher by training or by education. I wrote my first book in 2018, and I did the self-publishing thing. But I realized when I did it that I didn't know what I was doing, really, in all honesty. And so I decided to join the Independent Book Publishers Association. I went to their publishing university and I learned everything that I could about the publishing process. And I republished that first book. So actually, I'm an HR professional by training. I'm a scientist by background, but then 20 plus years of my career were spent in human resources. And so when I retired, I started my own company with the HR theme. That's where the name came from. Enhanced DNA. The DNA really came from the DNA from the deoxyribonucleic acid. I wanted that tying into my scientific background. But it stands for develop, nurture, and achieve. And so the role that I do with my HR is to develop and nurture individuals and organizations so they can achieve their objectives. It's kind of that simple. And so when I learned the process for publishing, I did start seeing that there were a lot of people who were struggling through that self-publishing process. And I began to use those tools, the resources that I had through the Independent Book Publishers Association to help them publish their books. And that's how my company was formed. And so since 2018, my company has published over 60 books. And I'm just super duper, super excited to announce that of those 60 books that have been published, 20 of them have received national recognition. One of the things that I do for every one of my books is to submit them to at least one national competition, national literary competition. And the last ones that were submitted for the year or announced for the year were just announced last month, and 2 of our books were announced in those awards. 2 were announced earlier in October. So 4 just this year. So I'm very, very proud that we have a platform for those of us who don't necessarily have the ability to reach one of the big publishing houses. And so this platform to either help you self-publish or publish for you is something that is accessible to all. And so actually what you're showing here is about our academy. And so I am a firm believer in educating others. And so one of the things that we started last year was the Enhanced DNA Publishing Academy, where people can come and learn everything that they want to learn about publishing. However, they still might not want to do it themselves, so we're available for that. That's why I'm engaged in a book like The Doctor Talker, because it's all about education. And so whatever field it's in, it's all about continuing to grow. And so, yes, I'm retired, but I'm still continuing to grow. And as what I consider a natural nurturer, I am nurturing others so they can continue to grow. So this
Love
book
that.
seemed like a natural fit for me to be a part of it in order to get that message out that there is a way for you to get to the PhD, the doctor, and reach the goals and the dreams that you have, um, and be successful just as these six doctors have done.
We love that. We love that. Hey, if you're tuning in, of course, let us know you're tuning in. Holler at us. Let us know where you're from. Let us know where you're getting your doctorate degree from, what it's in. We appreciate everybody tuning in. My good friend, Dr. Frizzle, who's about to get done very, very soon. I appreciate you doing the great work that you're doing. We appreciate you tuning in. Hey, people are asking questions and have questions. Please feel free. That's what we have doctors on here for, to ask the questions. We want to make sure we're here to answer them. That's what we're here for on this evening, because nobody's doing this alone. You have help, you have support. We're here for you. And the good brother, Dr. Rowe, who's going to come and get it done very, very soon. I need you on in the next hour because our wonderful Dr. Washington is in the same boat as you, finishing that program at Virginia University of Lynchburg, that Doctor of Health Administration. So you need to be on in the next hour to talk to her, because she definitely gonna help you get through that program. And we appreciate you, soon to be Dr. Gray. We appreciate you and the work that you're doing. This is what it's about, folks. We want people to be honest with where you are right now in your doctor journey. If you have questions, if you need help, that's why this book was written. That's what it was for. And let's get back to Dr. Randolph. Sorry, we had a little feedback on you right there, but I think we're good now to get to hear you. So as you are doing the work that you're doing, and you published a phenomenal memoir as well, tell us about the work that you did and what tips would you give to individuals working on their doctorate right now, knowing you're going from the fall into the spring, and what that transitional time means so much for individuals working on doctorate degrees.
That's about 15 questions in one, Dr. Turner. So let's start with the end question. So in terms of what advice I would give those who are currently matriculating through a program, if you have the opportunity, meaning you're not working on a component of a culminating project, a dissertation, a final project, a capstone, whatever that looks like for your program, maybe some practicums. If you are still in your coursework, take the winter break to do exactly that. Take a break.
That's good.
Enjoy a cheesy Christmas movie with your family. Go celebrate Kwanzaa. If you are a believer in the winter solstice, then go winter solstice it up. Go see The Color Purple next week. Drink some eggnog, do whatever it
Yeah.
is you need to do. Have a mimosa at 10 a.m. if that makes you happy, right? Take that time to really rest, rejuvenate, recharge, and renew yourself, because spring semester is coming. Whether it's the second week in January, the third or the fourth week in January after MLK Day, spring semester is going to come. And so take the opportunity to sleep in, watch some TV, recreationally read, if you have the mental fortitude for that. I know most of us did not and do not. I did not read recreationally for 6 years because I went from my second master's to my doctoral program, and so I was only writing and reading as it was necessary. But that would be the advice that I have. Is really to take the time to rest, reflect, rejuvenate, and because we're transitioning, we're really still in the second half of the academic year. Assess what goals. One thing that I did as a doctoral student is I set goals for myself at the beginning of the program, revisited them at the end of every academic year, and then again the next year I would set a new set of goals. And so I believe the three goals I set at the beginning were: I wanted to be published before I graduate. I wanted to present at a conference, maybe. And then after I got my first A, I decided that I wanted to graduate with a 4.0. And so each year I checked in on where I was with accomplishing those goals. And by the time that I graduated, the goal was to have accomplished all of those things. I was fortunate enough my first year to present in an academic conference. And so then next year I went up to myself and I said, okay, well, you checked that off the list. Wonderful. Now what? And I said, okay, well, I want to present at an international conference. I was fortunate again to have been able to done that. To be able to do that, let's act like I know how to speak. And so I guess that would be my second piece of advice is set goals. Don't just let the goal be to graduate. That's a great goal, but it needs to be a little more meaningful than that. And whether your other goal has something to do with the particular research that you're going to do in order to graduate, whether it looks like taking your dissertation or your capstone or your final project and expanding it to a published article or to a book or to be some type of professional development for another entity, set some additional goals, because when this is over, you don't want to leave the knowledge that you have in the proverbial classroom.
That's good. That's good.
So, in terms of what I did to graduate, I did too much. That's what I did. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. But what I tell people is run your race. That is the title of the chapter that I contributed to the Dr. Talker. In it, I give the advice to run your race and to know your why. And I tell students that habitually, whenever I talk to doctoral students, whenever I talk to people who are really at that, that final project, the dissertation phase, who are struggling through a lit review or through some type of analysis, and they can't remember your why and run your race. Do not compare your doctoral journey to anyone else's doctoral journey. Don't compare, and it doesn't matter. As Dr. JT likes to point out, Dr. Turner likes to remind us all the time, there are over 50 doctoral disciplines. So you can have a DBA, you can get a DPH, you can get a PSYD, a PhD, a DSL, in OD. There are many very facets. You can get a doctorate in ministry or a doctorate in theology, which are two different degrees. Right. But just because someone else got a PhD or just because someone else got a DSL, don't compare yourself to that individual and don't compare yourself to someone cross-discipline. This journey that you're on as a doctoral student is your journey and your journey alone. It is not meant to be oscillated, right? You don't keep turning and looking like a revolving door to see what this person is doing and that person is doing. Just run your race. Do what works for you. Do what's comfortable for you. So if what works for you is locking yourself in your house, after you get off work every day, that's what you need to do. If when you come home from work on Friday, you don't leave until Monday morning because you need to focus and zone in, that's what you need to do. But you have to run your race. And while you're running that race, remember your why. If you don't know why you're doing it, and that's the very first thing you need to identify. Obviously, there are a lot of people out here who are listening to us tonight who have doctorate degrees, others who are in programs. But for those of us young men and young women, and I don't care how old you are, young men and young women, because you're young enough to accomplish the goal, understand before you submit that application what your why is. Because if you do not know your why, you don't have anything to carry you through the process. And you don't have anything to carry you through the late nights. You don't have anything to carry you through the self-doubt. You don't have anything to carry you through the days you want to choose violence against your professors. You don't have anything to carry you through the sleep deprivation. You got to know your why. And your why has to be personal, not generic.
That's right. That's right. So tell us a little bit about your other amazing book. This was birthed out of your dissertation. That's correct?
Yes, the Black American Church Leadership Dispensation and Challenges is my final project. I knew once I got to a certain point that I did not have a desire to keep the information just to myself. I knew that the information that I wrote in order to graduate was information that was bigger than me. I always knew from the beginning that I wanted to share it with the masses, but I will tell you, I never planned to actually write a whole book in order to graduate. For those of you, those of you who have the book or who will purchase the book, yes, every word that's in there, minus the index and the dedication, thank you, and special acknowledgments. I wrote every single word of text in order to graduate, and I really, again, as a leadership expert in my degree, in which I didn't say earlier, I'm a doctorate of strategic leadership. And so what I do is I teach people holistically about the processes of leadership, but I also look at organizations and how to make them more effective. And what I noticed in that first year that I was researching and presenting is that there were behaviors, and leadership is a behavioral construct. There are behaviors that I saw in a case study that I did that mimicked behaviors I had experienced in the Black church. And so it caused me to ask myself, well, did the behavior start in the church or did they start in this particular organization? And by sheer chronology, they had to have begun in the church. And so I made it my mission for my final project, to look at the leadership system in the Black church and how any deficiencies that existed therein matriculated to our broader societal context. Or better yet, if there were deficiencies, did they actually matriculate? So, if we were saying, what's my research question? My research question is, are there deficiencies in the leadership system of the Black church, and do they matriculate to the broader societal context or have broader implications? And so, that's what we're talking about. It's there, it's raw, it's honest, it is research-based. There are actually comments and quotes because it's a qualitative measurement. And so as the people answered the questionnaires and did the interview, I noteworthy comments I included in the manuscript, because what I wanted people to understand is that it's not my opinion. It's not how I feel about the church. It's not a condemnation. It's a critical analysis. It's a temperature check. It's a performance review by the people who make up the organization. It is the combined delegation of the Black church, the 25 plus million people that make up the historical 7 denominations, including an eighth category, so to speak, of non-denominational. So if you're interested in leadership, if you want to know more about how to be an astute leader, skills, competencies, and abilities that go into being a leader, if you're interested in the impact that a cultural institution can have globally, then this is for you.
Like that. We like that. Yes, we are here because we want to answer questions. If you have questions, I got doctors here. I have a Black woman publisher here if you're interested in publishing your own book. Because let me tell you, folks, if you would have probably told myself and Dr. Randolph, oh, you're going to have a published book by this time next year, I probably would have thought you was crazy, because a lot of times you don't think that you're going to be publishing books. But I want people to realize the importance of getting a doctorate degree is so big, because now you put yourself in a category of a thought leader. Now you put yourself in a category of a scholar, of somebody who can put out work, and people are going to pay attention to that work. And I love that Dr. Randolph brought up the whole PhD notion. That's why we wrote this book. Not everybody is going to get a PhD. And if we look at the numbers, majority of Black people do not go get a PhD. They get all of the other types of doctorate degrees. So I want people to realize, to know that your doctorate degree matters and it makes a difference. And if I can give people some kind of advice, especially right now, the people that are saying, I need help, I need somebody to help guide me through this. This is what we're here for, folks. We don't want this to keep being this mysterious doctorate degree. And, oh, you got to go through, of course, myself being Kappa Alpha Psi, and Dr. Randolph, she's a Zeta, and I have to feel like I got to go through what they call academic hazing to get your doctorate degree. Now, you're going to go through something, because they're not just going to hand out doctorate degrees, but you have to realize you can get help in this, and you need to ask for help. So once again, my name is Dr. John C. Turner. I'm here with Dr. Randolph and the amazing Mrs. Burton. And I'm telling you right now, we're just getting started, because I'm going to go to Mrs. Burton. And I want to know, when it comes to publishing, why is it so important that we put our words out there? Because I'm telling you right now, A lot of people are scared to publish these books, or they get halfway to doing it and they just quit. Why is it important to talk to somebody like you to get their book off the ground?
Yeah, I see a lot of people who have said that I've got a story in me. I just know I do. I know I've got to tell this story. They just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
It is important for us to tell our stories because we need to let others know sometimes what we've gone through to get where we are today. Sometimes for our own healing or our own benefit, because we don't always get somebody patting us on the back to say you did a great job.
Yeah.
And so we need to tell those stories. We need to let other people know that I have done some things and you can too. And I think that's the value of this book here, is being able to tell, yes, you had many challenges. I know you had challenges. You had a lot of issues you may have had to gone through in order to get your degrees. Uh, Help others know that they can achieve that goal. They may have thought about it, and that's the same thing in writing a book. It's You may have thought about it, but there is a way to accomplish that. So that's what we just want to make sure that everybody knows, that they can too accomplish that and help others through the story that they're telling, whether it is a memoir, whether it's self-help, whether it's fiction, because every story has value to somebody. And, just like Dr. Khadijah said, sometimes you might just want to take and read for pleasure in order to get away from some of the stressful reading that you've had to do while you're doing your studies. And a fiction book might be just the thing, or a self help book that helps motivate you might be just the thing. So, having all of those different genres available is just exactly what we need. And you are out there ready to write those books, and we have a way for you to get that done.
I'll go back to some of the ratings we have here. So many people were thankful that have already purchased the book, and some of our ratings have been just amazing. The people that have taken the time just to get their thoughts, people who are in doctorate programs, people who are looking to get into doctorate programs, and we're thankful for the people who have given their voice. As far as what means the world, that we definitely have to do this one from future Dr. Jill, because she actually quotes Dr. Randolph, and as she stated, remember your why. So when you saw this particular review, Dr. Randolph, what did it mean to you, and what are some other comments or reviews or thanks that you got from individuals who have gotten the book already that really shows that people need to get this book?
So yeah, so I love this review, and obviously I've seen it before, and I highlighted it on all of my social media platforms. But
As you should.
as an author, and the 2023 publication year has been very good to me. I've contributed to a textbook, I've contributed to the Doctor Talker, and I have published or had my own book published that started in 2022 but culminated this year. And so to see someone who actually quotes what you say in the reference, your contribution, especially to an anthology, when you write a book on your own, when that person presents a review, the review is automatically about you because you're the only author. But when you're doing a compilation or an anthology or shared joint work, somebody might read chapter one and never get to your chapter, or something that someone else says may resonate more with what they say. And so to see that the words that you have metaphorically pen to paper, because no, I did not use pen or paper, but that you've put out there are helping to positively transform and amalgamate someone else's life, it's also very powerful. But in that, it helps remind you, it humbles you, because it reminds you that not only do our words have power, but that each day we have an opportunity to encourage someone else or to better someone else with our words and our actions. And we have to be intentional in that. And that's one thing that I do writing, whether it's an academic article or a contributing piece to a book, is I'm very intentional. And in my daily conversations, I'm a wordsmith, I'm very semantic. I'm very intentional about the words that I use. And so to know that the words that I've used and the greatly transparent. I don't want to use the word genuine because I think it's overused. And I don't want to use authentic because I feel like it's becoming overly used. But the sheer transparency, there we go, of the words that I modificated actually helped to put someone or keep someone on the path to becoming and to finishing or to hanging on or to starting over or to let go of the fear that's associated with it. Like all of these feelings are real.
Yeah.
There are a myriad of feelings that you experience as a doctoral student. Some people experience shame, disbelief, discouragement, despair, despondency. Then there are the happier notes when you're like, oh, reassurance that I can do this. Then there are the sad moments. Then there are the moments when you are literally just absolutely out of your mind.
That's the real. That's the real.
Yeah. Like, right. You like it's a whole emotional roller coaster. And yes, it is. It's legal, expensive academic hazing. That is what a doctoral program is. I'm sorry if somebody tells you different. I hate to tell you different. I'm not saying I've ever been hazed outside of academic situation. But I mean, it is what it is. There's a process you have to follow. And Dr. Turner touched on it earlier. He said, nobody's going to give you a degree. It's supposed to be hard. I hear people say, oh my God, it's so hard. Well, yeah, it's supposed to be hard. Oh my God, I'm tired. Okay, you're supposed to be tired. But I think that what people enjoy the most about persons like yourself and I in books of this nature is that they see that these people who in their mind are doing great things, they've been where I've been. They felt how I felt. They had that moment of I can't do this, or maybe they didn't get accepted the first time they applied, or maybe they failed a class, maybe they had to take quantitative analytics or statistics twice, or maybe they didn't make it in a PhD program and somebody told them they weren't smart enough, or maybe this person actually crossed the bridge and they were from the inner city raised by a single parent who was a teenager when they had them and they grew up on public assistance and welfare. But if that person did it, then I can do it. And that's the power that is vested and invested in a piece like the Dr. Talker. And so we are very gracious and very grateful to know that the bearing of our souls and the timely, necessary telling of our truths is helping to press the next generation of doctors forward.
That's good right there. And as we continue to kind of read through some of these amazing comments and amazing reviews, and we're thankful for them, because a lot of people don't know when you write a book, you want those honest reviews, because that's what gets your book out there. That's what lets it flow. That's what makes Amazon or these different platforms push it, because just the fact, because we got these particular reviews, and we don't have many of them, but they're very honest reviews, other entities or bookstores will pick them up. So Barnes and Noble has picked this book up. I believe Goodreads has picked the book up. You can find now this book on other platforms and places because the reviews that people have given just on Amazon. And we want to make sure we let people know as well. Getting a doctorate degree, as we are talked about, is stressful. It's hard. But when you get over that hump and you start to put in for those jobs after getting your doctorate degree, you're going to see that pay increase. It's going to be there. And it should be, because you have put in the work to be able to get that particular salary. You could be able to ask for that. Now, Dr. Randolph has a great business. She can be able to ask for more just based on the fact she has her doctorate degree, because she has put in the work and done that. So we want people to realize, go and get your doctorate degrees and realize that now you can ask for what you want on the back end. $100,000 should not feel small. if you're looking at contracts, you can let them know what number you want based on the fact you got a doctorate degree. I want to make sure people realize that. So these are some very important tips we want to make sure that individuals know as we continue in our conversation today. So once again, we have myself, Dr. John C. Turner, we have Dr. Randolph, and we have the amazing Mrs. Danola Burton, who has graciously published our book. And before we let these two go, before we go into our next great authors who are going to come and speak, I want Mrs. Burton to let folks know where they can contact her, and what advice would you give to those individuals looking to publish their book? What advice would you give them?
So you can reach me at my website, which is www.enhancedDNApublishing.com. I am on all the social media. Well, I won't say all. I am on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram platforms. And you can find me there under my name or Enhanced DNA Publishing. The advice that I would give is, I too believe that everybody has a book in them. So we need to get those books out. But we want to get them out so that they are done professionally with excellence. I mean, just this week, I have had 2 different people contact me, and they either self-published or had someone publish for them that did not have the standards for publishing books, and their books had issues. And they were on Amazon already, and so they were trying to have me help them get it fixed. Please, please, please find the publishing standards. If you do it yourself, find the standards. Publish your book with excellence. We don't want our books to be out there and people are turned off by not only our book, but they're turned off by other either self-published books or books from people who might look like you, because they saw an error or errors in your book, or the book wasn't published professionally. So please, if you're interested in writing a book, publishing a book, marketing a book, those are the 3 things that I'm going to tell you need to be done well. You need to write it well. And maybe all of us aren't excellent writers. Get a professional editor to edit your book. Publishing, either find out the standards so you can publish it professionally, or get someone to publish it professionally for you using publishing standards, and then market your book. You can't expect that if you write it, they will come. You have to market that book and make it visible. And when Dr. JT talks about reviews on social media, on Amazon or on Goodreads, all of those things are what we call social proof. Just like you refer somebody to go buy something that you just bought, it's the same way with a book. And reviews provide that social proof, and they will encourage others to actually purchase that book. So every time you see something on social media about the Dr. Talker, please comment. Please say, I got that book and it's amazing. It's been a motivation to me. It's helping me as I go through my journey. And so every time you see any author, not just this book, but if you see them marketing their books on social media, if you see them marketing them other places, chime in and help them. Even if you've already paid for your book, either gift one to someone else, at least provide a review, but share about the information so that others can benefit from this book. You never know who you might touch.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Dr. Randolph, where can people find you? And any final tips, anything that you have?
Absolutely. I saw a couple of questions in the chat. In case you didn't, one person wants to know, what course would you recommend as a cognate in Black Studies? I don't know if that's geared towards me or not, but I thought I would mention it before I log off in case it is.
Go right ahead.
Asking me. Well, I guess I need clarification. I know what the word cognate means, what it means in relative to Black Studies. And so is that what's being asked? If they can put clarification in the chat, I'll be happy to answer it before I'm pushed off, so to speak. Where can people find me? Like Mrs. Burton, I am on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'm also on Twitter. Don't use it a whole heck of a lot. However, on the other 3 major platforms, I also have a YouTube channel. So let me take that back. I guess it's 5. But on all major platforms, I have both a personal page and an author's page. And so if you're on Instagram and you want just my author's page, it's Dr. Condicia Randolph. Just my regular page is my first name, Condicia. On LinkedIn, I am Dr. Condicia Randolph. For my author's page, for my regular page is Dr. Condicia Randolph, MA, MPA. And on Facebook, my author's page is Dr. Condicia Randolph. And then my personal page is just Condicia Randolph. You can also find me on my consulting firm's website, which is https:// Consulting Service, no S on the end.com. And there you can review the services I have, look at some more of what my expertise are. You can also schedule an appointment for a 1-hour consultation or any consultation, but I do free 1-hour initial consultations that are complimentary. Part of some of the new services that I offer are educational services that are strictly geared towards graduate and doctoral students. And so when I say grad students, both master's level as well as doctoral level. Doesn't mean I don't like undergrads. If you really need some help as an undergrad, I can do it. But I prefer to focus on the graduate level because I have a critical eye and because I have a doctorate degree, I'm expecting a little higher level. And so sometimes working with undergraduate students, you get lost in the sauce, so to speak, because their professors are not expecting as much of an output. Okay, let's see. Gotcha. Okay, and so the original question was, a Black Studies class. It depends on what Black Studies classes you have access to at your university.
At your school,
they're going to be varied, and so each university has certain classes that can or cannot count towards an elective or towards your degree. So it's going to be critical to check with advising. I think all of us would tell you to check with advising or your program director to make sure that whatever class you may want to infiltrate is going to live up to doctoral standards. Because I can tell you, because doctoral programs are so varied, that there is a base level standard that every program will allow to substitute for something else. Like when I transferred into my DSL program, I had been a PhD student at another school. And so I was allowed to transfer up to 9 hours or 12 hours or something. But I had to go through a degree audit and find classes that were close enough in relation to the degree that I was getting in order for the registrar to approve them, and then my program director approved them. So yeah, check with your advisor, check with programming. I also saw someone comment and said, I saw one person comment and raise their hand and said, hey, they need help. Reach out to us. Like I said, I do educational coaching, which doesn't just deal with helping with the writing and the culminating projects, but it also helps with the work-life balance portion for doctoral students, especially those who work. A lot of us have issues with work-life balance and just not having a breakdown, so to speak. Reach out to Dr. Turner. He is more than willing to have a conversation with anybody. He will talk to paint drying on the wall, okay?
Yeah.
So, reach out to him. I saw someone else that said that they were in ethical leadership. Feel free to reach out to me as well. Like I said, I am a leadership expert. And so, I've run the gamut of leadership. In addition to that, what else? Obviously, Dr. Turner has shown you all on Amazon where you can purchase my book, The Black American Church Leadership Dispensation and Challenges. You can also purchase it on Barnes & Noble, at Target, online at Target, online at Walmart, Thrift Books, Penguin Books, Goodreads. If you just Google it, it will tell you where to buy it. So if you don't like Amazon, pick Barnes and Noble. If you don't like them, go with Target. And for those of you all who have not bought the Dr. Talker, I am currently running 20% off through tomorrow. The sale is holiday. So if you find either any of my social media platforms on LinkedIn or Facebook, there is a code on there that does get you an autographed copy. If for some reason you don't get it by tomorrow, get with me. I can still do that. And if you don't get a copy from me, get a copy from somebody. We've poured our hearts out into it. And what we're looking to do with funds generated are to help the next generation of doctors. Yeah, I think that's about all that I have. Like I said, reach out. Don't be ashamed if you need help. We all need help. We really did. But like the song says, we just all needed help. But we can't help you bear a cross we don't know you're carrying. And we can't help shoulder those burdens. If any of you have specific interest in things that relate to the mitigating effects of culture and race as it relates to leadership, I have a particular interest in that. So I have background experience in that, as well as obviously leadership in the Black church.
Love it. We love it. So we're going to do something special here, folks, because we have two other authors in the waiting room we're about to bring in here. None of us have been together since we wrote the book. So we got to give a minute of putting us all in the same room. We have the amazing Dr. Samira Washington, we appreciate you. And Dr. Anthony Taylor, we appreciate you as well. So you literally have 4 out of the 6 doctors from the Dr. Talker here, along with our amazing publisher. So I'm going to give Dr. Washington just a couple minutes, just show some love. Tell us where you got your doctorate degree from and just what your thoughts about the book. And please, if y'all can stay on just about 5-10 more minutes, I appreciate it, because this is special, y'all. This is special right here. So Dr. Washington, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great.
I'm busy doing mommy duty. So I'm sitting at my daughter's cheer gym. I was like, I need a space.
We love it.
Uh-oh.
Busy working. She's here. We
just lost her a little bit.
Oh, doing busy with mommy stuff. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
Well, let's go to Dr. Taylor real quick. How are you, Dr. Taylor?
I'm great. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you coming on strong. You got that bass just like Blue and the Temptations real quick.
Let me turn my volume down. Is that a little bit better, or is it still pretty?
Try a little bit more.
Okay.
Good.
How about now?
That'll work. How you feeling there, Doc? In the Chi-Town still? You up there still?
I am. I'm native of Chicago. I've been around the world with the military, but I'm back in Chicago now. And so I'm happy to be here. I got a lot from this experience, from being able to work with you good doctors, and Danola from your publishing expertise. So I'm just grateful and thankful. I graduated with my doctorate degree in health sciences from A.T. Still University, which is a school that founded osteopathic medicine. And so my focus is very like healthcare, clinical research focus. And so if anyone is looking for insights or information about clinical research or health sciences, I'll be happy to answer those questions, or just the doctoral journey from my perspective, like Dr. Randolph just shared. I'll be happy to speak to that as well.
We appreciate that. We appreciate it. We appreciate you checking in, Dr. Janet, who is, of course, been on the wonderful The Doc Chat Show. We appreciate you, and we thank you. Hey, sharing these stories means the world to us. And so to go back to Dr. Taylor real quick, when you see us all together, we're kind of sitting here. What did you think about the book coming together, and what do you got to say to these great ladies that are on?
Yeah, I think it's awesome that we were able to collaborate this way, because for so often, each person may be trying to do their own thing, which is totally fine. But to come together and show that, we can, take our time to write something that is bigger than us, that is more for those individuals who at one point used to be like us. You know, we were sitting at home or wherever trying to figure out if we wanted to pursue a doctoral degree. And, you know, we took the leap. I took that leap of faith. And for a lot of us, that journey was not easy. And so, you know, I'm really appreciative to be sitting here amongst you guys to be able to just share my story and to listen to yours as well, because while we have a lot of similarities, each one of us had to follow our own path to get to where we were trying to go. And some of us, you know, just because we have our doctorates now, we're not done. I mean, this is a journey still. You know, some of us are still writing books. Some of us are pursuing other degrees or doing whatever it is that we, you know, we aspire to do. So don't think of the doctoral degree, even though it's a terminal degree, but don't think of it as the end all be all, because there's more to us that we will still want to contribute and give to the world.
That's good. Mrs. Burton, kind of before we let you go, kind of your thoughts on just reading our stories. Like, what did it mean? Because I know you got a piece of all of us from reading these stories before you even published the book. So what were your thoughts, and what do you have to say to these great doctors?
Yeah, very, very impressive. I mean, I think about, like I said, I have a scientific degree. I'm not a doctor. So thank you to the person in the chat who mistakenly said Dr. Burton.
Prophesied.
But I'm a scientist as well. And my hat's off to all of you, because just getting my master's degree, I mean, I think when I finished my master's degree, I weighed 105 pounds.
Oh,
this is not a 105-pound body. And so I mean, it was stressful.
yeah,
Very stressful. And so my hat is off to each and every one of you for what you have been able to accomplish. I mean, you think about other disciplines. Yes, you can have great accomplishments, but this is an amazing accomplishment. A PhD in any field of science or area it's not an easy task. Your stories demonstrate that. Each of you had your own set of challenges in a time when, you know, even though we have come a long way, baby, they say, there's still a lot of challenges for those who look like me and you. And so I'm just proud of each of you, and proud that I'm a part of this project, because when Dr. JT came to me and said, you know, would you have any interest? I'm like, what? That's really a no-brainer, because this is the kind of book that I want to encourage others to read. But, you know, one of the things about publishing a book is I'm the first one that gets to read them. And so, yes, each story was motivational in its own right. And so, yes, I give you all a big round of applause. So thank you very much for everything that you've done to share those stories with others.
We appreciate you. And Dr. Randolph, kind of any thoughts, or Dr. Taylor, and even you kind of reading all these stories, what is the benefit of knowing that there are doctors out there that came together, worked together, Black people, folks, and did something this special?
I actually had the opportunity to gift one of the books to my goddaughter. She recently moved from St. Louis, lived in St. Louis her entire life, relocated to Pennsylvania. And she's not just starting a new life journey, she's starting in a new school. And ultimately, she's recently decided that she wants to be an optometrist. And so knowing that doctor of optometry is somewhere in her future, at least for right now, you know, unless she decides to change her mind, I gave her it because I wanted her to be able to see what she could do, and not just see what Godmama did, but see what other people have done. And she did text me after she read the first chapter, so your chapter, Dr. JT, and she said it was really nice. And she's a really sweet, kind of quiet kid. So for her to say it, I could feel the emotion, like, this is really great. So for her, that was a grand sentiment. It just wasn't grandiose, but it was grand. And to know that I've been able to be a part of something that can help positively shape her life in a different way.
Mhm.
is profound. It is humbling to hear, Ms. Burden say that you all have done something amazing, something I've not accomplished and probably will not accomplish. Um, I, I don't, every day for me, I live in being, and my doctoral chair told me, she said, you need to walk in it. And I'm like, well, I wear a necklace every day with my name on it. So, I mean, I know who I am, but sometimes it's still as though it's mythical or mystical, because sometimes you just look back and you say, hey, I really did make it, or I did it. Or you think about the saying, we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. Mhm. We are our ancestors' wildest
Mhm.
dreams. We're the hope and the dream of the Negro mother, as Langston says. We're the hope and the dream of the slaves.
Mhm.
We are the physical manifestation of an enslaved people who refused to die in bondage.
That's good. That's
That's
good.
who we are. And we've persevered to the point where you might deny me certain things, but I have a sheet of paper that says you cannot deny me of this.
Right.
I have a set of experiences, and I have a journey, and I have a track record, and I have a book, and I have another book, and I have an article and another article, and I have another book that says you might not like it, but guess what? This little Black girl from the south side of Chicago has done this, this, and this. And so when I think about it in terms of being prideful for all of us, it's not the destructive pride that comes before destruction. It's the pride in knowing that we are literally the living embodiment of what people marched, bled, and died for. And so there's no greater kind of work that we could be involved in.
That's powerful. Absolutely
Right.
powerful. Well, we'd like to thank Mrs. Burton once again and Dr. Candice Randolph for joining us on this evening. And hey, we're going to keep the party rolling with Dr. Taylor. Hope
All
Dr.
right.
Washington comes back, but it's all
Bye.
good. But hey, wanted to say thank y'all so much for joining us on this evening. The Dr. Talker is here for you all, and these great people made it happen. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Appreciate you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye bye. Take care.
All right, Dr. Taylor. Hey, it's all right. Sometimes Kappa's got to lead the show, and it's all good.
Sometimes, always, same difference.
It's all good. So let's get to your journey.
Sure. Yes. Can you hear me? Okay.
You're
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. So to write about the journey, because I'll be honest with you, a lot of people when they get done, they don't want to tell nobody about nothing about what happened, what went on. Why did you see this opportunity to say, I want to share my doctoral journey, and what were some of the things that you got through that people need to know when they're going to their doctoral journey? You need to get ready for it.
Yeah, no, great question. Well, the biggest thing is that the reason why I did it is because it's bigger than me. And I have a lot of family, a lot of friends who are pursuing degrees right now, whether they're bachelor's, master's, doctor, whatever. And I want them to know that if I can do it, you can do it too, right? I've been in school longer than I can even remember. Like I have three master's degrees and the doctoral degree, and I don't say that to sound boastful. I say that because if you put your mind to it, you can do it, right?
Sure.
And whatever it is that you want to achieve. And so I encourage anybody who's pursuing or may be close to and just kind of feeling discouraged about continuing on to keep going. Because it's very important. And as a Kappa, one of the things that I was taught was once a task has begun, you never rest until it's done. And I know that's also taught in other organizations too, but it's one of those things where, why not finish? If you are as serious and adamant about pursuing your education, finish it. Don't let anything stop you, because there will be several things along the journey that will try to stop you. And I mean, I personally, what I went through was losing both of my parents, Part of the reason why I started the journey in the first place was because I, wanted to make them proud and be the first doctor in the family. But I lost my mother last a year before I was supposed to finish, and so it was like a struggle to keep going. Like, well, if my parents are gone, why am I still doing this, right? But then I had to remember that, again, it's bigger than me. There are others that are coming after me that are looking at me as an example, and if I give up the first time I go through.
Got a little bit of pause here, but that's okay. It's like what's going on.
Yep. So it's important to tell these stories because, again, as I mentioned before, each one of us may be coming from a similar background, like being in the Midwest. I'm from Chicago. I know you're from Indianapolis, and it's one of those things where you don't see a lot of doctors that look like us or that are in the fields that we are in. And so you really you're kind of setting the stage and setting the tone for those that come after you. And so it's really important to not just look at it as though, okay, well, if I quit, then who's going to care? There are a lot of people who are looking up to you who will care and will be not so much disappointed, but they might feel like, well, if this person who I admire so much, who is so well educated, so well spoken, couldn't finish, what makes me think that I could? Wow. And so it's important for you to look at it from that perspective as well, because you are leaders in that right, and people they want you to succeed just as much as you do.
That's true. That's very true. We're here with author Dr. Anthony Taylor, one of the authors of the amazing The Dr. Talker book. And if you are here checking us out as we're here in the second hour, let us know where you're from. Let us know what you got your doctorate degree in, and let us know what doctorate degree you are pursuing, because Dr. Taylor touched on it. We got to be those examples that other people see. As you're seeing two Black men that you need to get the book because you need to read our story. As he stated, he had parents that passed away during his journey. My father actually passed away during my journey. And you do get that thing of, well, shoot, should I keep this thing going? Because I was kind of doing it so they could be there to see it get done. But then you realize in your mind you have to do it. So, Dr. Taylor, when you start to look at the coursework, and then once you started to put together that final paper, what do you remember of your journey that was just like, man, I might have to throw in the towel because this is real, and I don't know if I could do this, because I feel like these real talk notions that we put out there help somebody in their journey right now.
Yeah, the coursework was no joke, I will tell you. And the reason why it's no joke for a lot of people is it's not that you can't get through it. It's that it's independent, right? You spend so much time like in undergrad where the professor's on you, or high school where the teacher's on you to get your assignments done. But once you get to a grad level, it's 100% up to you, whether you do the work or you don't do the work. And that's why you see some people who take 5, 10, 15 years to complete their doctorate degree, because it's one of those things where they, hey, life happened, this happened, I couldn't get through it. And so coursework, just you have to prepare yourself for having a strong mind, strong will to finish. And so you're going to get those courses that are easier than others, and you're going to get those courses that are extremely hard.
Yeah.
But that's when you lean on your professors, your classmates, other doctors that you may know, or people going through school. You lean on those folks for support, so that way you can get through it. And and then even that final paper, which seems very surreal when you get to it, because it's you're so used to staying up late at night and working weekends and trying to like make it all happen if you're balancing a family and school and work together, and then all of a sudden you realize, hey, I'm almost done, right? Mm-hmm. You have this final paper, this dissertation or a final project or whatever it is that you're focused on, and you turn it in, and then you expect to go right back into the coursework or go right back into more work. But in reality, you're done, and that can become very daunting for some people because they have this thing that they call the PhD blues, right? You know,
Mhm.
you finish and you think, okay, well now life is going to just the sky is going to open up and all these opportunities are going to come out. No, it doesn't. You still have to do the work, and you still have to sort of promote yourself, and you can't have any quarrels about calling yourself doctor if you so choose, right? So there's a lot that goes into it that's beyond just the coursework and getting that final project or final paper done.
That's good. That's good. And if people are tuning in, if you have questions for Dr. Taylor or myself, please go ahead and ask, because we always want to make sure we put out there, realize that you're not by yourself. You're not on your own. There are people that's been through the journey. There are people that are going through the journey. And Dr. Taylor, I want to talk about, you went into that after you get done, that kind of layoff, but then kind of talk about the good part of what did it
Mm-hmm.
feel like finally getting done, and what is life now knowing that you are finally that doctor that you pursued to become.
Yeah, no, that's great. So I am about 7.5 months from finishing my doctorate degree. I finished this year in May. So for me, the newness is still there. You know, only thing that I will say that I thought would be different is I thought everybody would refer to you as doctor, but you know that doesn't happen. And you can't be offended by it if they don't, right? If they don't, they don't, right? It's okay. Um, but actually going through that process, it was beautiful. Like the graduation ceremony. I don't know if everyone is closely tied to their school, but I think it's so important once you finish the doctoral program or any degree to attend the graduation. Like be present, be take in that moment, because you only get it once, right? It
That's
only
right.
happens for your class once, and, and so I really enjoyed like being called doctor at graduation from my professors, who at one point, everything was doctoral candidate or student or whatever, and now to be referred to as a peer or colleague by other doctors, it felt validating, and to take in that experience, it's very important to put on that hood and that cap, and just to be in the moment is really important, because again, it only lasts one day, right?
That's right.
Graduation is one day, and after that, you're Doctor such and such, but you're not necessarily in that environment to where you're having to prove yourself as a doctor or write papers anymore. Now it's just about kind of enjoying the fruits of your labor, if you will, but also as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't stop there. I mean, some of
That's right.
us started our research and it was complete enough for the doctoral program, but we still want to know more, or we still want to
That's right.
advance the field further. And so, just having a doctor, it gives you the credibility to do so, but it gives you the tools to know how to do the research. But you still may have a passion that has not yet been fulfilled, and that could be, completing a research or writing an article, or whatever it is, writing a book. And so you continue down though that pursuit of excellence, if you will, to try to achieve different things that you still have set out for yourself.
That's right. Yeah, we want people to realize that the sky's the limit once you get done. We just need you to get done.
Get
Like
done, get it
that
done.
that is the key part, because the number of people literally is half. It is flat out half when people get done. I can even talk about my own cohort, finishing at Indiana University in Indianapolis, urban education
Hmm.
study. We started
Hmm.
with 10, five are done. Mind you, we started back in fall of 2015. That means there's still five people that are still going on a doctorate degree. And there are times you get timed out in doctorate degree program. And I've
Yeah.
known people to time out. So Dr. Taylor, kind of when you look at that person right now, they're like, man, I'm part of that ABD. I'm part of that, doctoral candidate.
Candidate.
I
Hmm.
I can't get that paper done. I can't get to the finish. What would you tell them right now? And why would you tell them about getting this book that's going to help them get to that finish line?
Yeah, so if you missed Dr. The discussion from earlier, what was your why from the beginning? If you're at that place where you're stuck and you're wondering, why am I still doing this? What do I like? What should be my motivation? Think back to why you started it in the first place. And my why was to further the science, and to also have doctors that look like me represented in the field. And if that didn't change in the course in the course of me pursuing my doctorate, there's still less than 1% doctors in my field that are African American.
Wow.
Yeah, very much so. And so I feel like I'm always sort of having to represent or be that sort of voice for a community that's underrepresented. And so if you're all but dissertation or you're at that doctoral candidate stage, keep going, because you are almost there. You are closer to the finish line than you are to the start line.
That's real. Yeah, because a lot of people don't realize too, you got to get off your pride. You got to talk to somebody. You're going to have to talk to, whether if it's that committee member or program chair, if you got to switch committee members, if you need to talk to your dean of your school, somebody's there that's going to help you get through. And that's the frustrating part. And especially sometimes us as African American, we feel like, oh, they ain't trying to help me, so just forget about it. Well, don't forget about it. Go after it. Like, actually do the work and realize it's not going to be perfect work. Somebody's going to chop your stuff up. I can remember getting back papers and I thought somebody spilled red Kool-Aid on it because it was just chopped up. That's what it was. It just wasn't good writing. Somebody cared enough to say, hey, you could do better than this. You can go to that next level. And that's Absolutely. What we want to make sure people realize that. I appreciate you, Dr. Randolph. She's right. Get the support you need. Ask somebody for some help. So when you think about it, Dr. Taylor, when you think about that person who's just on that stuck mode right now, and they are literally like, I'm not going back next spring. What would you tell them right now to get them back in the seat for next spring to finish that doctorate degree?
Yeah, first of all, I would find out what type of person they are. If they're financially driven, I would point out the fact that you've invested all of this money into this education and you haven't finished. So now you've wasted money, right? So some people are financially driven, and once they hear that, they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to waste 20, 30, 40, whatever it is, thousands of dollars that I've invested towards my education just to let it go. And then other people are motivated by finishing a goal, right? I just read a comment where someone said that they didn't want to be all but dissertation, not me. Like, what was the point if you got to the dissertation and then you didn't finish? Like, so if you're motivated by goals or by completing tasks, like, why would you let that linger if you know it's just a little bit more, a little bit longer, a little bit further to go, and you'll be done. So, and I know I'm saying that as though it's easy. We know it's not easy. Each doctor that has gone through their journey, even if you have your doctorate in underwater basket weaving, at some point you had to learn how to write. You had to learn how to be a scholar. You had to write it in a way that you had to create an argument and a defense to that argument. So you are developing skills and tools that can be transferable to anything. Right? If you want to be the head of your own company, you have to be able to articulate, what those, what the goals and the purpose and intentions are. So if you are one of those people who is stuck, I would highly encourage you to pick up this book, to contact one of the doctors or a friend, and let them know what your grievances are. Because sometimes you just need to kind of vent and be heard. And it's not really about, oh, this doctoral journey sucks, because there are times when it will suck, but then there are other times where you're like, you know what, I got through that class, oh my god, and if I can get through that class, I can get through anything. And
That's
so, hmm
that's
so
true.
keep going.
And I want people to realize something that is very, very key. It's not going to be a perfect journey. It's not going to be roses and cherry blossoms and all those different types of things. There's going to be times you're going to be pissed off. I mean, I'll be flat out honest with you. And you're going to need to buckle down and say, look, I done throw my hat in this ring and I'm going to finish this journey. And people want to think that other people should feel sorry for them because it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. That's what it is. And I want to talk about the dissertation and final project part as well. And I'll be flat honest, because a lot of people don't realize this. You're not rewriting history or some historic brand new thing. 90 to 95% of dissertations are all based on the same looking criteria. The chapter breakdown, what each chapter is. All you're doing is adding your piece in those final chapters of the research you did. So a big tip I'm going to give a lot of people is look at other dissertations, look at other final projects, see how it's done, and do it a lot of the ways they did. You're going to realize you're not writing something brand new. You just need to do enough to get done and get out of there. You can say the world changed the world, write your book when you get done.
Right.
Just get done, because when you're a doctor and you can now write it however you want and do however you want, you can do that. But you need these doctors that are in your program. The reason why people struggle so bad to get out is because they don't realize it's not about you completing. It's doctors that have to sign off on you completing. Those doctors have to verify you as doctors for you to become a doctor. So you're going to have to play ball with these folks. You might not like them. I'm not going to lie. You're not going to like everybody you're working with that's on your committee. Allow them to work with you just enough to get their signature on your final project so you can get done.
Yes.
That's all you need to do.
And I will add to that, if the program that you are in is not a good fit, maybe you need to look for another program. Because I started off in one doctoral program and I transferred to another, because I felt like a number in the first one. I felt like I wasn't really having that one-on-one time with my advisor that I needed, because unless you are just really, you come out the gate being a scholar and knowing exactly what the expectations are and how to write as a scholar, then you're going to need help, and you're going to need support. And if you're not getting that support, don't be afraid to say, you know what, I'm taking what I've learned to another institution. Because and that's exactly what happened for me. I transferred institutions and I was embraced. It was like from the recruiter to the professor to the advisor, like everyone was there to ensure I was successful. And it was the greatest feeling in the world. I mean, because I was not only involved within my program, but I was also involved with the school. I became a ambassador for the school, and those things came about because I was passionate about the fact that they were passionate about me.
Yeah.
And so that's another just thought. Like, if you're stuck because your program isn't feeling that great, or your professor or your advisor isn't giving you the time you deserve, it's okay to go somewhere else.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And even on top of that, I want people to realize, especially if you are a person of color, a Black person, that program needs you more than you know.
Amen.
Make that program look good. Because I'm telling you, they're going to want to use your face on marketing for the school. They're going to want you to start probably doing commercials and brochures, all kind of things. Because guess what? When they have a successful Black student, a successful student of color in their doctorate programs, oh, baby, they're going to use you. And I'm telling you, they're going to use you. Make them pay for your tuition. Make them look, if you're going to use me, at least give me something for it.
Absolutely.
Because it's going to look better for that student of color, that black student, to finish that program than it is them not finishing.
That's
Because
true.
what they don't want to happen is, dang, what happened to that person we was putting on the website? Well, they didn't finish. Well, that doesn't look good. They
Doesn't
need
look
you to finish. Absolutely.
exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Taylor, I want you to dive into right now looking at the big spectrum. If somebody, what would you tell Dr. Taylor before you were Dr. Taylor? Just like you're talking to somebody now that's about to start a program or they're in a program, what would you tell that individual now that you're a doctor on getting their doctorate degree?
Yeah, no, that's great. I would really sit down with someone and really try to let them know that this is not an easy journey. And it varies. Some people finish in 3 years, some people finish in 5 or 7 or longer.
That's right.
Either way, if you have your mind made up that this is what you want to do, there's no stopping you.
That's right.
Nothing that's put in front of you can deter you from getting it done. And that is so important because, again, this is not required. It's not mandatory. It's totally up to the individual who wants to become a doctor. Nobody ever said, "Oh, you have to become a doctor." Even if you were working in a field where you're working around all doctors, it's always been optional, right? And so once you start down this path, you just know that you don't. It doesn't have to be so arduous that you say, "I give up." Don't give up. Once you start, know that it's going to be arduous at times, and know you're going to celebrate I would say celebrate the small victories. If you pass a class or get a B plus on a paper, maybe that's a huge accomplishment for you. Celebrate those small victories, because if you don't, it'll feel like 3 or 4 years or however long of just torture. But you really want it to feel like, no, you're making progress towards your goal. And
right.
so I would sit down and encourage anybody who is like kind of thinking about, man, well, maybe I should pursue a doctorate degree. Okay, like Dr. Randolph said, what's your why? And then I will go into even deeper of what's going to keep you there. Like what's going to keep you motivated? Because there'll be times where the promised future isn't enough, the money isn't enough, the title isn't enough. So what is going to be your motivation to keep you going?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm telling somebody right now, just pick it back up. Pick it back up. If you have not got the Dr. Sarker book, get the book, and then pick that doctorate degree back up. Pick that dream back up. Don't let it die. A thing that kept me in mind was what I wrote about. I wrote my dissertation from Ivy Tech Community College on a first-year course that was just for Black males. So I got to interview Black males that were in my course. I could not wait to get to that interview part. And so when I did, it was an emotional thing because I got to see my guys that went through my class, and I got to interview, hey, how was that class? How did it help you with your Black identity development? It was powerful. And they even thanked me for interviewing them. I'm like, wow, I don't remember how many times people get thanked for going for a doctorate degree.
Yeah.
You want your research to mean something. So that's part of the why, know what your why is. So Dr. Taylor, why should people get this book, and tell people where they can find you as well? We just appreciate you coming out, just taking the time, because man, you dropping some dimes tonight. Out here, my brother, I'm telling you.
Man, well, I'm very passionate about this, and I'm very passionate about seeing more people become doctors if that's what their heart, if that's what they want to pursue. And so I want to just piggyback off of what you said first, and then I want to get into the where they can get in contact with me. But you said something about the interview process. So my research was qualitative as well, and I absolutely loved meeting with the people. I was nervous at first. Those first couple of times you kind of trip over yourself because you don't have your scripts quite right, or you don't know what to say. But after sitting there and listening to other people's stories, you really get to like you start to kind of get lost in it. Like, wow, this like people. I'm actually interviewing people. I'm actually like getting information, and it's not hard work. It's just
No.
it's time consuming. But then, to your point earlier, you take all of that, other people's dissertations, formats, all your previous writings, your interviews, and you pull it all together into one dissertation or project for yourself, and you summarize it. Pretty much, you let people know this is what I found, and
That's right.
and that's very, very helpful. So don't think that you're having to reinvent the wheel, because it's the wheel has already been chipped and formed and created for you. You just need to learn how to drive that car. Which is different than what you're used to. So I would say definitely go out and get this book, because for one, it not only has Dr. Turner's perspective, but it has my perspective and four other doctors. So if you're not feeling what I'm saying, you can turn the page and go to another doctor, and maybe they have exactly the recipe that you need, or vice versa. I don't pretend to be the end all be all, because maybe you resonate with someone else better. But that's the beauty of it. You have options, and you get to hear stories. And who doesn't like to hear stories, right? And so you get to hear different stories from different people on the journey that they took. And guess what? We all ended up at the same place. We're all doctors now.
That's right. That's right.
So if people want to get in contact with me, I'm not as social media as some. I'm just on LinkedIn, so you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's probably the fastest and the easiest way to get in touch with me. I try to respond as quickly as possible, especially if it's a doctoral student asking for some advice or just wanting to just say, "Oh, this is what I'm going through," because I understand it, and sometimes you just need to be heard. And so if you want to reach out to me, I'm Dr. Anthony K. Taylor on LinkedIn, and I also work in the pharmaceutical industry. So if you're interested in learning more about how to get into the pharmaceutical industry or doing clinical research or healthcare, you can reach out to me, and I'll be happy to share my almost 20 years of experience on that as well.
We love that. We love it. And just wanted to show this real quick because I want people to see these just aren't our words. We're not just telling you the book. We got actual doctors here that have gone and got the book. Actual doctoral students that have gone and got the book. This is Dr. Ron Miller. We appreciate him. He said from the beginning, I was not able to put the book down. Each author described their journeys, and it felt like they knew my struggle through this process. If you have thought of, are thinking of, or currently enrolled in the doc journey, this guide is for you. We go to the next one here. This is a great read for anybody thinking about pursuing a doctorate degree, those going through that journey, and for folks supporting others in the journey. It has most certainly encouraged me on this doctoral journey. And one more here. We want to make sure we have people read. I'm going to say I was completely engrossed, devoured it in just one day. I mean, hey, this is not a hard read either. And that was something we wanted to make sure individuals knew, because we want folks to realize that you're going to read enough hard stuff going through the doctoral journey anyway. We just wanted to give you real facts, real life from individuals that have gone through it and are letting you know that you can make it. You can go through it. So I just wanted to thank everybody tonight, all the commenters, everybody that had questions, everybody. Dr. Taylor, any final words before we log off? Any encouragement, inspiration you want to give?
Yeah, I would just encourage anyone, no matter where you are in this pursuit in your journey, to keep going. Someone just posted in the chat, failure is not an option. I 1000% agree with that. Failure is not an option. You're going to have small failures along the way, but at the end, it leads to success. So learn from your mistakes along the way and don't give up.
Absolutely love it. So on behalf of Dr. Taylor, all of the great authors of the Dr. Talker book, Mrs. Nola Burton, our wonderful publisher, and myself, Dr. Chauncey Turner, we want to say thank you all so much, everybody, for tuning in. We said you have help. The Dr. Talker is here to help you. These doctors in the book, they're real people. You can reach out to us, folks. We
Yes.
You get to the finish line. We're here for you. So God bless y'all. Thank y'all. Happy holidays, everybody. And until next time, we say peace out, everybody.
And yo.
Indeed.
Had to throw that in there.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.